All right, welcome back to Fleccas Talks, the podcast, episode 265. Today on the show, 5 years later, and people are still celebrating the life of George Floyd. Pathetic. Then, Emmanuel Macron was slapped by his husband. We're going to show you that. Then in Cringe of the Week, we have a pussy guy section you're not going to want to miss. And last but not least, in Urban Decay, a man was killed over a mayo packet. And we have some great clips from Black Prom. All this and more, it's Fleccas Talks, the podcast, episode 265, ranked the best news podcast of all time.
Because words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words. But at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Very cool.
It's Fleccas Talks, the podcast, featuring Richard Grabboy.
All right, one for one on the intro, as always. Guys, summer's almost here, and we all want that beach body, but if you're still sabotaging your health with sugary, high-carb snacks, you're doing it all wrong. Your snacks should be mostly protein and fat. When you snack on protein instead of sugary carbs, you stay full longer, you boost your metabolism, and you reduce bloating. Farmer Bill's has your back, and for a limited time, he's increased his discount to 20% for you. Boost your muscle mass, stay full longer, and eat the protein you need with his air-dried meat snacks. You've seen the labels. Beef jerky companies lace their beef with lab chemicals, but Farmer Bill's knows what's up. The beef is American and the ingredients are clean. Grab yours today with his limited time offer with his new code FLECCAS20 for 20% off at checkout. I recommend the bestseller bundle because it has a 4-pack of their sliced biltong with original and spicy chili flavor, a half-pound original slab, 2 of their grass-fed tallow bombs to keep your skin healthy and moisturized. Order today. Shipping is free when you use code FLECCAS20 at checkout. Use that code now, 20% off. That's a massive deal. FarmerBillsProvisions.com is the website. Go there today. FLECCAS20 is the new code. Link is in the description as well. And best of all, Farmer Bill is a show watcher, so we have to support the people who support us while hitting our protein goals. Thank you to Farmer Bill for sponsoring. Let's get into housekeeping.
Farmer Bill's Provisions, the perfect protein snack.
All right, thank you to Farmer Bill for sponsoring.
Thank you, Farmer Bill.
20%, that's the biggest discount he's offered yet. Won't last long. Get it while you can. All right, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can tell, Richard Rathboy's blacked out.
Yeah, it's fucked up. 20 Bud Lights on the lake, lots of sun.
Yeah,
We're watching Band of Brothers later.
I'll do the show.
Yeah.
We can do the show. All right, we have a good episode. It's going to be the same as usual. It's a little bit chiller because it is Memorial Day, I guess, but nothing's really going to change.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. We're in on Memorial Day filming.
We're working.
So that's for you. That's for you guys. So Tuesday, after a long weekend, you have something to watch at work.
And hopefully work's a little chill and more like a Friday.
Yeah, well, that's asking a lot.
Also, before we get into the show, my dad says I'm saying exactly too much.
We all have our tics, man. We started saying brother as a joke. Like, we were kind of making fun of someone. We say, right on, brother. We say that way too much. You say exactly. We all have our tics.
I used to say big time.
Honestly.
I can't say big time anymore. I can't say exactly that. I don't know what else I'm going to go, like the black women.
Honestly, we're not like, obviously, we're not trained. We're not radio voices. We're not a color commentator. We're going to say a lot of stuff a lot. So
yeah, a lot of stuff a lot.
But
exactly.
Yeah, maybe watch it. Your dad's trying to help.
I know. He
so
is.
Maybe watch it exactly.
And he's right.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to go, That's going to be my new thing.
One of mine is, and it's like. That's just a transition for anything. And it's like. So, you get too obsessed with those, you start freezing up and you can't do the podcast anymore. So sometimes you need to rely on something
That
else.
is correct.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, let's get into the show. We have some fast-paced headlines to get to before we get into some good clips. First things first, Louisiana is the first state in the nation to use DOGE's database to cleanse their voter registration.
Yeah, good news. And that is Louisiana, a deeply red state, doing that. We need every red state to do exactly that, follow the lead that DOGE set.
Exactly. Red states would be great because it'll slow the bleed out to becoming purple than blue. I would love to see Texas do this.
Yes.
Because Texas is like purple. They call Texas a purple state now. It'll be blue eventually because of all the Hispanics.
Remember Beto O'Rourke? They called it purple then, and it's gone hard red in like 3 straight elections since that.
Yeah.
So it's less purple than you think. Ideally, this would be done in every state, but we all know which rat states aren't going to clean up their voter rolls.
Exactly. All right, let's get into some wasteful. I did exactly
I know.
immediately.
I know.
I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I got
Sorry,
nothing.
Dad.
I got nothing.
Let you down.
I let you down, Dad. I'm sorry.
I struck out.
I have nothing.
I lost the big game.
All right. We have some wasteful spending. The next 2 stories. The first one is about money laundering right after Joe Biden found out he was leaving office.
Yeah, in the 76-day period between Trump winning and Biden leaving office, $93 billion was sent from the Department of Energy, who gave it away with no oversight to entities with no financials. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. How much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy? That was Senator Kennedy asking someone with knowledge on this. From the loan program office in loans and commitments, $93 billion, well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years. And then Kennedy says, You're telling me that the Department of Energy in the 76-day period before their boss was going to leave office gave our own money to entities that had no business plan? Correct. No financials? Correct.
So the money was just shoved out the door once they knew Biden lost.
Yeah.
Basically laundering, no financials, no record keeping. Who goes to jail for that?
People do really need to go to jail, and I think Lee Zeldin was trying to claw some of that money back. So I haven't really checked up with that on the success rate of that, but this is jailable shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these people didn't have the auto pen Joe Biden pardon, so
Yeah.
they can still go.
That is true. And we also have this stat from USAID. Can you give that a read?
Well, this is according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He said only 12% of USAID funds actually reached intended recipients. So that's an even lower number than we had previously reported.
We need to just have buses full of people with handcuffs and chains on their ankles
Everyone's on a bus.
lined up.
The illegals go one way, the people who were money laundering go the other, and then we figure out when the chains get taken off later, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, next story is kind of about Democrats and their future and kind of how they're trying to figure out who the leader is and how they appeal to young men especially.
Yeah, we just covered the stuff they do when they're leaving power, and now this is what they do when they're out of power.
And also how they keep power. Mm-hmm. They use all this money laundering, send all the money around, and then everyone's just in on it, and then they have people working for them. And if that gets shut down, you're going to have to rely on like an organic message, which you don't really have because you're based in lies. We have David Hogg talking to Charlemagne about who the future of the party is, and listen to who he says it is.
Jasmine Crockett, I love her. Mm-hmm. She is amazing. Yeah. I think that people want to see somebody who fights and calls out the bullshit, ultimately. I think that's what Jasmine does, and we need a hell of a lot more people that are out there that are willing to do just that and call people out on their BS and not say, oh my God, Republicans are going to criticize me for saying this. Screw that. They're going to criticize you no matter what. So what we
He's so stupid.
Yeah, and there's we've shown a lot of Jasmine Crockett clips. She's loud. She's incredibly unlikable. She's abrasive.
And she's not electable as president either. We're talking before the show. Rapboy told me her district is 40% black and then 30% Hispanic.
Yeah, and she wins in a landslide. But that's not exactly the type of candidate who goes national in any way or becomes the governor of Texas, the loud, angry black woman in the super black district. Yeah. You know, that's like 4 times the national average, her district. And then David Hogg here, he's on Charlemagne. So little caveat if you want to say, all right, he's telling the black people he likes the black lady.
He's a little yes boy.
He's playing the game a little bit. But yeah, to act like she's some sort of popular or the future of the Democratic Party is just an insanely bad play. And you have the weak man talking about the loud black woman being the future, the loud, dumb black woman. She's not smart. She's not articulate. Being the future of the Democrat Party, it's like, uh-oh, are they out of power and making the same mistakes again is the question.
I think yes. Mm-hmm. And if she somehow does become the front runner and runs, she won't be elected. And then everyone's going to go, oh, it's because people don't want to see a black woman in charge. And they're going to be doing the same thing they do every single time.
Yeah. Candace Owens.
Yeah, put her.
Go for her. A black woman in charge, you know.
And then
that's like a Tim Dillon joke. Like, yeah, I have black friends. It's Candace Owens.
And then, obviously, the Democrats are having a hard time with young men, like we said. Can you read this headline in some context?
Yeah, this was a long article written that says, out of power, 6 months later, Democrats are still searching for a path forward. And this, we're going to talk about just one key section of it, not dissect the whole 3,000-word article. But they mention a prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online. It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a Strategic Plan, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things.
So they're trying to figure out what goes viral.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing that goes viral, especially politically, is the truth, especially when the truth is a reaction to a lie that's been imposed on the public.
Yeah, reality goes viral. Realistic videos that are undeniable.
Exactly. So obviously they're trying their best to get the young men vote, but you don't really have strong men to lead the young men to the Democrat Party, because if you're a strong man and you have high testosterone, you can kind of see through the bullshit and you trend towards the truth. And then the truth right now is not on the Democrat side.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their problem.
Yeah, they're watching all these people online talk to themselves about like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, we shouldn't give money to illegals. And they're like, how do we get them to come to us, the party that is giving the money to illegals, right? It's like right-wingers reaching out to illegal immigrants. How do we get the illegal immigrant sympathy vote? And obviously they can't vote, but it's just so... The last 10, 15 years of their party have been built on alienating young men or making them take a back seat. This election, the Harry Sisson types were trying, I'm voting for her. I'm voting for my sister, for my girlfriend's right to have an abortion.
Yeah.
They were doing that like up till 6 months ago. And so for them to take that pivot, it's so weird. And then also $20 million on online trying to infiltrate right-wing stuff. If we take the USAID rate of 12%, only fucking $1.2 million or $2.4 million is going to make it into the hands of those.
You're spending $50,000 on Hassan Piker ads.
Yeah, and then the rest is going to salaries of people who are about to get their second house in D.C., right?
Exactly. We need more polar bears in the rainforest.
Guys, we need more birds in the ocean. They got to be in the water.
We need women in the men's room.
Yeah, and we need men in the women's room. It's just so backwards. And, it's interesting because Democrats themselves, they realize they're making a mistake. They're going to put some money where their mouth is, but then they still have David Hogg going around saying, Jasmine Crockett's the best. Yeah. It's like one hand's not talking to the other.
I love it though.
Yeah.
They're so far from like getting it that you like to just see them squirm and pretend to figure it out.
For sure.
All right, we have a little bit of a before and after from one of the left-wing influencer types, the Brooklyn Dad Defiant guy.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting. Can you give that a read?
First one says, I'm happy to remind conservative Twitter that whenever you come for guys like Jake Tapper or whomever, you know we're just going to squash you back with a million examples of Trump's and the GOP's corruption. This is a preemptive STFU.
And then a few years later, reminder, fuck you, Jake Tapper, you fucking asshole.
After Jake Tapper finally starts telling the truth about Biden's dementia and his downfall.
Which was still a lie because it came out so late.
Exactly.
So it's like a reluctant truth.
What do you call that? Yeah, reluctant truth is a good word.
Reluctant truth, I guess. All right, let's get to our next story. It's somewhat the story of the day. It's kind of jarring. Emmanuel Macron hit by his husband.
Here's the video. They open the plane door, and he's in a little tussle. And they slowed it down, and it's like a double hand face. It's like a double hand weak shove into his face.
Which is kind of like a girl hit.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes against the Candace Owens theory that she's a man.
Yeah, well, what say you, Candace?
But then again, I think a twink might hit someone like that. They go, stop.
That's true. Penalties offset. Neutral. And
I was going to say originally, Macron hit his wife. Meaning, like, she's the husband and Macron is, and she's the other Macron.
Okay, but that's too much. You got to explain it, reduce the fraction. But I'll take the side of as if she's a woman, which is what the mainstream consensus is. 72 years old lady. You married the old lady, right? Mm-hmm. So I imagine she's kind of jealous all the time. Who are you looking at? You looking at the waitress? I'm a 72-year-old bag of bones piece of shit. So like I get it. She probably had a good reason. He was probably looking at the waitress.
He was looking at the waitress.
She's 72 years old. So I mean, there's nothing to learn here.
Nothing to learn.
But it's
just
a funny
rare.
clip.
It's just rare to see a president of a country get hit.
The mask slips off. Yeah.
It's like, shouldn't Secret Service be like,
yeah, she's close.
Respectfully
Knee
and
on her neck.
allegedly and not a threat.
Yes.
Okay. Next, speaking of threats to public presidents, public figures, is Putin a president?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the exact word.
Duly
He's the
elected?
leader. He's the leader. Yeah, he keeps getting elected.
He keeps getting elected. I don't mind the guy. Putin's helicopter fended off drone attack.
Yeah, Russian leader's recent visit to Kursk region drew fire from Ukrainian UAVs. It emerges.
And then Trump was saying the other day over the weekend how he's mad at Putin because Putin's attacking Kiev and like doing more deadly attacks than ever in this war. I think he's probably doing it because they tried to kill him and he's mad.
I would assume it was somewhat reactive, but and then Trump is also mad at Zelensky for yapping every time he opens his mouth.
yeah.
Something bad happens. So I don't know. We'll see, but it doesn't seem like anything's de-escalating yet so far.
To go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, a little bit of a conspiracy theory rabbit hole, Trump is planning on June 15th the military parade.
Okay.
And there was a thing that was like, whenever a country does a giant military parade, it's kind of like showing what we have, and then there's usually a war kind of right after.
Like showing too much what we have, and then people are like, all right, we could take them. China's mainland invasion.
I think it's like to get public support and to go, yeah, the military's sick. Oh, look at all this technology. And then it's like, oh, we have to go to war. And it's like, yeah, we got to go fucking get them.
We got all the shit. We built all the shit.
So there is a theory there, like apparently before World War II and in some other wars in between then and now, whenever there was like a military show of force, it kind of was followed by a massive war.
Not that far-fetched. Okay.
So hopefully not. All right, next we have some language policing going on. Netanyahu is saying some things that don't make sense in First Amendment America.
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
All right, I have a feeling you're going to make us pass some laws about this or something soon.
Which state first? Greg Abbott seems open. Governor Abbott.
And no one really listens to this, which is good. Like now more than ever, people are kind of rejecting this like policing of words and like the victimizing of these people so much.
Yeah.
But that's also bad because they'll make us listen with a Muslim false flag again, or a 2020 race war again, or a pandemic again. So it kind of goes both ways. It's good that it's being rejected, but when it's being rejected and then you put them in a corner, that's when they get feisty.
Yeah, and we can actually say both in America. So, and we're always allowed. And I love the getting behind a camera and saying this word, this phrase we want to make a no-no word is exactly like this other thing we already made a no-no word.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can't do it.
And then there's no words.
It's not even convincing, dude.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part.
I blast the no words song in my car.
Yep.
And it feels good. All right, speaking of George Floyd, as we mentioned in the
Were
intro.
we?
Yeah.
Okay.
2020 race war again.
Okay. Yes.
We have some George Floyd holdovers. People are still celebrating George Floyd's death 5 years after.
It's the 5th anniversary. We just passed over the 5th anniversary, so this is the reason why. And we're going to start with the clip of a BLM type rally in Dallas.
And not many people showing up.
Here it is. It's supposed to be in some like courtyard in Sparse, Harwood Park.
They said like 40 people showed up.
Yep. And I think this was led by the race grifter who was running the Carmelo Anthony press conferences.
Oh.
Dominique Alexander. Yeah.
Good. She's still got work to do. Maybe she's getting USAID money.
That's the guy.
It's a guy.
Yeah.
It's a guy.
Dominique Wilkins. Remember the basketball player?
Oh, yeah. Dominique goes both ways.
Dominique goes both ways. Yep. Like
All right.
Taylor for white people.
Like Taylor for white people. Exactly. All right. WNBA had a moment of silence for George Floyd as well.
Thank you guys for taking a minute to honor the life of George Floyd. George was a father, a brother, and a son. And his life, like every life, held meaning. His death exposed the holes that are still in our justice and criminal institutions today. And his 5-year anniversary reminds us that we must continue the fight against criminal, racial, and social injustices.
All right.
So the WNBA still doing it.
Rest in peace, George Floyd. You were one of the best black people of all time by far. You know?
That would be so sad if that were true.
But saying, is that what you guys want to hear? Like, that's almost a good man on the street question.
Mm-hmm.
Was George Floyd an example of like black excellence? And people would go, yeah. And
of course.
Like, what are your expectations?
Exactly.
Next, there was, what was this one?
Let's just play it.
Yeah.
This is just a small gathering of women.
It's been a rough ride. When I came here today, I almost had an emotional breakdown. Because it reminded me the day that George Floyd got killed. Where they get you to lay the flowers at. And the red represent the blood, and the white represent the purification that George Floyd died for us.
That's the key sentence right there.
George Floyd died for us.
So became a religious figure like Jesus Christ or something. George Floyd died for us. So, you know, there's still some people, there's pockets, there's less enthusiasm, but it's more the gripped, the institutions you'd expect, right? The WNBA, the random BLM obviously still does it. But it's becoming less and less, and they're trying to stir it up. George Floyd died for us. And who else, you may ask, is celebrating the 5th anniversary of George Floyd? The trans Congress guy.
Yeah.
The guy in Congress who pretends he's a lady. It's been 5 years since America watched in horror as George Floyd lost his life to police brutality, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
So the real linchpins of the intersectional left, they're still hanging on, WNBA types. But for the rest of the world, I think people have generally moved on and aren't even really, you know, you get one of your uncles who kind of wears a MAGA hat and he showed you the autopsy report. And, you know, over time, they whipped you up in the couple months after and during the trial and all that, but I don't think it stood up to the test of time.
Definitely didn't. And it might get worse when they let Derek Chauvin off if the FBI has more information. And then last but not least, we have here what George Floyd could have been if he was still alive.
In the arms of an angel.
He's a general.
Yeah. He was ready to make one of those midlife switches soon.
From doctor to military general.
From felon to 4-star general.
Instead, he went from felon to dead.
Poor guy.
All right, let's move on to our migrant section. But before we do, we have a very special message from Chalk. Guys, our country just witnessed Donald Trump overcome political persecution, an assassination attempt, and the entire deep state in order to regain the presidency in a historic victory. There's one secret ingredient that allowed Trump to do all of this, and that is testosterone. What most people don't realize is testosterone makes men willing and eager to take on challenges, but sadly, too many of us have lost our fight, and that's exactly how the globalists want us. They want us weak, out of shape, and full of microplastics and estrogen with low T. That's why we've decided to partner with Chalk. Chalk offers a whole lineup of products formulated to increase your energy, focus, detoxify your body, and clinically studied boost your testosterone. Ingredients in the Chalk Male Vitality Stack have been clinically studied to boost free testosterone by 87% in just 21 days. Unlike the gimmicky vegetable pills or powder, you will feel the difference, and they have the clinical studies to back it up. And right now, you can get 25% off of your Chalk subscription for life. Just go to chalk.com, CHOQ.com, and use promo code Fleccas. And the best part, you can cancel easily at any time. Chalk is made in America, and their all-American customer service team is standing by and ready to assist you. Let's make male vitality great again. Get your Chalk today. CHOQ.com is the website, promo code Fleccas, and you could also call them at 50-CHALK-3000. Everything is linked in the description. Thank you to Chalk for sponsoring. Let's get into housekeeping. All right, thank you to Chalk for sponsoring.
Thank you, Chalk.
I noticed my muscles feel bigger now that I take Chalk every day.
Good for you.
All right, migrant section. Lots of good migrant stuff.
Bad migrant stuff. You know, you'd think the migrant section would be switching to Uplifting Gold at this point in the administration, multiple months in. But unfortunately, we're still finding proof of why we need mass deportations and why people need to get out of here.
Yep, and this is a scene from Atlantic Beach, I believe New Jersey.
Or Florida. For some reason, I thought it was Florida, but I don't know.
I feel like I'm in another country. What the heck?
All right. Assimilating nicely, I see.
Yeah, and that's the sad part. We don't even have that much of them here. We don't even have that many. Yeah. And they get the giant elephant cart, start doing the celebrations on your public beaches.
Don't you guys have the Indian Ocean? There's too much trash in it.
I thought you had something, right? And so, I mean, this is just another point of some of these people can come here, but they really aren't looking to assimilate that much. They're continuing their traditions just with a better free market economy in the backdrop. They want to do the exact same things, but with higher GDP per capita behind them.
And roads.
Yeah, and infrastructure and pipes and not shit in the river, right?
Exactly.
But some of them still do.
Some of them still do. And that takes us to our next story, which is that same thing about keeping their traditions and not assimilating. We got some arranged marriages in Idaho.
Yeah, this is a story from the East Idaho News, and it's about a girl who was still in high school, and she disclosed that she had been in an arranged marriage since January 2024 when she was just shy of her 16th birthday. The marriage is not legally recognized. This is good old Idaho.
And if you read that story out of Idaho, you kind of assume that it's some sort of religious fundamentalist or like a Mormon or something, or like a
David Koresh type who's keeping a harem of women and kind of keeping their food restricted from them.
Yeah, but
just Idaho.
Yeah, Idaho. You know what Idaho's like. And then you read the article and you get a little more context.
Yeah, criminal charges have been filed against a 29-year-old Midvale man accused of sexually assaulting.
No context yet.
Yeah, accused of sexually assaulting and beating a pregnant teenager to whom he was allegedly married. The man was charged with a multitude of crimes. The investigation began when a 17-year-old girl who is 6 weeks pregnant reported being assaulted by the 29-year-old man. The girl lives with the man as a religious spouse. The girl is still in high school, said that she had been in an arranged marriage, as we said, since her 16th birthday. The marriage was completed through the Muslim religion, but is not a legally recognized marriage. The girl started having sexual intercourse with the man daily after they were married. And this girl's like going to high school and married to a 29-year-old man. Probably picks her up. And then not only did the arranged marriage between Muslim people happen in Idaho, but the guy also beats the shit out of her. The two got into an argument. The man lunged at her, started hitting her and kicking her. The victim believes she was hit and kicked by him at least 40 to 50 times. Police noted the girl had a large golf ball-sized bump on the side of her head and bruises on her forearms. And here's an interesting part, which is the not assimilating, not telling, keeping little secrets. When the man was questioned by police, he made no mention of having a current spouse or girlfriend, the affidavit states. So they kind of play this two-way go. Like, I'm married in my religious ceremony to this 16-year-old, but I'm not married when I'm talking to the police or anything like that, right?
Yeah, separate lives.
The laws of one society, the one they begged to get into, don't matter. And then the old laws from the old traditions where they fled from, those are the ones that actually matter and are important, right?
Yeah, and then they're also protected by the media, where they frame this and make it seem like it's a white guy who did it. So like the media covers for them so they can keep doing stuff like this.
Muslim mentioned once, you have to open the article. You can't just skim the headline. It's an Idaho man until it's not. And then I just want to make a broader point here about people coming and not assimilating. We have a lot of issues, right? Like, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, these ethnic blood feuds. Like the guy who just shot the 2 Israeli diplomat workers recently, he was some sort of Mexican guy shooting 2 people in America about a 1,000-year blood feud that's 5,000 miles away, right? Then we have the Muslim guy come into Idaho, start doing arranged marriages, child abuse, right? An extra legal marriage that doesn't exist. And then we also have this in Maine. State rep says female genital mutilation is happening in Maine.
Maine.
So we have the ethnic blood feuds, the arranged marriages, female genital mutilation. And it's like, what are we doing? What's the value of bringing any of these incompatible people here? And it's just, making more of a case of these people never assimilate. They don't want to assimilate. And we don't want them here, pretty much.
And these occurrences are happening so deep in like real America, Idaho, Ohio, Maine. Maine is where Preppy Tucker Carlson lives.
Maine, Kennebunkport, Portland, lobster rolls, stuff like that. Come on, we don't need Somalis in Maine. And there are Somalis in Maine, and that's who's doing the female genital mutilation.
Mm-hmm. But leave it to the media to lie and cover up for these people, and then also mislead about immigration in general. We have this example here with a mimetic Sisyphus reply that I thought was very insightful. Can you give that a read?
Well, it's two arguments coming out of both sides of the mouth, right? This guy, Alex Stapp, says, reminder, only 14% of U.S. residents are immigrants, but immigrants are responsible for 36% of aggregate innovation. 2/3 of this contribution is due to making their native-born collaborators better. And so he posts a paper about the contribution of high-skilled immigrants to innovation in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And does America pluck the best of the best from Japan and Switzerland and England?
We used to,
but now it's brown hordes at the southern border, right?
Yeah, but then mimetic Sisyphus had a great response to that.
He said, this has been the Mott Bailey routine on immigration for years. Japanese exchange students help some medical breakthrough. This means you need infinite Somalis. A total avoidance of the actual issue with immigration. No one cares if we import a small number of high achievers. We don't want millions of low-skilled families from the third world creating intergenerational welfare dependence.
Exactly, but the media sees both these groups as the same. They're just immigrants. Well, technically...
You're an immigrant too, right?
Yeah, technically it's immigrants. Even though it's like a brilliant Japanese scientist versus like a low IQ, gropey Somali who doesn't speak English and he's mad.
Yeah, you could have 10 generations of people who have always contributed to society and never taken a public dollar. And then a Somalian who just got here and said his 4-year-old is actually 1.5, so he could be on benefits longer. That's the exact same as you. And that's also the exact same as a Japanese scientist who's doing cutting-edge work with chips that are used in AI.
Yeah.
So the conflation of immigrants, and then, like we just showed, that Muslim guy who got married, the Indians on the beach doing their weird ceremony we don't understand. That's all immigrants. They're all the same. Mm-hmm. And we're tired of that bullshit.
Are they helping us or are we helping them?
And we're helping a lot of them.
We're helping all of them. Yeah. And then
And then not only that, but like a scientist who comes here, it's like, great, we need him. But then you're talking about like the Somalis, the people, the intergenerational welfare dependent people. It's like they're being propped up by like a plumber who just got smoked on inflation, and his homeowner's insurance. Being propped up by everyday people. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we have super scientists and it's like, oh, you'll take that money from Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, Google will cover your expenses.
We got the Somalis. No, you're taking it from plumbers, electricians, garbage men, everybody with a job, right?
And then also people with a job who are regular people, like say a bus driver. Mm-hmm. A bus driver now has to deal with a Somali who's trying to rob people or doesn't pay the thing or smells like shit.
Yeah.
So it
affects on every level.
They're not like invisible people. They're really everywhere and soaking up the resources and just making the day-to-day community not feel like a community anymore.
For sure.
All right, there's another story we have where ICE detained this guy, as you can see here with his family. Can you tell what happened?
Yeah, a nice white family with 4 kids who are all dressed nice. They're in some matching outfits and stuff. They look put together. They look contributing. The father went to a citizenship hearing expecting a handshake. Instead, ICE shackled him, threw him into a van, and tore him away from his pregnant wife and 4 children. Relax, man. They detained him without even letting him say goodbye. Casper Eriksson arrived in Mississippi from Denmark in 2013, fully documented and determined to build a life here. But best we understand it, now he's in prison because of a single clerical mistake made years ago. So basically, this is like a pull at your heartstrings, look at this guy. It was a clerical mistake. He did everything right.
I think they should let him go.
I think they should let him go too. Not for the reasons you might know, however.
There was a tweet that kind of had the same sentiment that we feel.
Yeah, this guy said, this is the problem with colorblindness. We all know this guy isn't the problem, but we can't just say no blacks and browns. And so this guy gets caught up in the wreckage, and unfortunately, and I hope he makes it out because this guy looks like a nice family, and he's a welcome. This kind of guy wouldn't disturb you at the park.
Yeah.
This kind of guy isn't on immediate benefit.
Not taking pictures of your kids.
Yeah, he's not alone at the park taking pictures of your kids saying, sorry, I'm new here. right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to our next story. Judge Dugan, the one that was arrested for allowing the ICE, interfering with the ICE raid or whatever of the guy.
Federal agents were waiting at a courthouse for a guy, and she kind of ran interference and let him slip out the back door. They still ended up catching the guy. She got charged.
Yep, and we're going to play the thing fast, but you can see her talking to the people. And she kind of like distracts him and then brings them to the back room or directs them to the back room. And then the guy sneaks out right behind him.
Yeah, this is the first time video has been released, so we had to show it.
Yeah.
This is in Milwaukee. Judge Dugan was trying to help this poor immigrant.
And and there she is, Judge Dugan. She looks like a real Dugan.
And she's kind of like getting in their faces, talking to them. And then you could see the agents were like, what's going on? Like, did that guy just go past us?
And then that guy was like a wife beater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's who she's defending. So she should go to jail for the rest of her life.
We need to send a message. I'm tired of the slaps on the wrist, right?
That's the key thing. We need to send a message. And then Medic Sisyphus had a great reply to that too.
He said, white savior is a powerful feeling many libs have. They imagine they'll be the ones to shelter Anne Frank in their attic. They'll be the ones standing between an innocent black man and a wrathful police officer. Their entire worldview is shaped by fiction, so when they try it in reality, they end up protecting the most guilty people alive. Pedos, rapists, murderers, and in this case, a wife beater.
That's so true.
She stood tall to help a wife beater.
Nice job, Deb.
Yeah.
And then we found this tweet I thought was...
Dugan.
Yeah, Deb Dugan.
Her name's not even Deb. But.
I found this tweet. I thought it was very insightful too when it comes to like what mass deportations will help and improve in our society.
Yeah, mass deportations will improve your commute to work, ability to buy a home, your individual tax burden, public schools, state and national parks, utilities cost / effectiveness, local job market, access to government services, public safety, national sovereignty, anything else.
But you're not going to see floating dumps in the river from the Indian guys.
I know, and there won't be a C- rated taco stand right outside your house anymore.
That's tough.
That's
so
tough.
Pros and cons. Whatever you guys think is best.
Yeah, whatever Joe Biden and Mayorkas, whatever you guys think is best.
Yeah, Mayorkas. And we don't get these benefits because our Department of Homeland Security head, Kristi Noem, is busy touching the wall in Israel. She's in Israel touching the wall.
She was doing too many photo shoots early. Now she's in Israel touching the wall. How about get 20 million people out?
Yeah,
How about that?
We don't need to touch the wall for anything.
Yep.
All right, our last piece of migrant section I thought was an insightful tweet that is very relevant right now. Can you give that a read?
Yeah, it's from Peachy Keenan. She said 75% of the world's population is just biding their time until suburban American homeowners can get the Boer farmer treatment and they can move into your house. This is why they don't want you to talk about it. It's the playbook.
Rings true.
Yeah, definitely does to
Unfortunately, it rings true. All right, we're moving on to our final page of housekeeping where I can say whatever. Use this opportunity to go to the post. Help us juice the algo. Leave a like, leave a comment, then comment again. Then start yapping. P.O. Box needs to be full. Notifications need to be on. Old episodes need to be watched. The link needs to be sent to the boys in the group chat.
There you go. You got it all.
7 out of 10. All right, we got some stuff. It's kind of like a mixed match final page, but we had some decent stuff.
Okay.
First, 100-0 U.S. Senate passes the No Tax on Tips Act, and then people now are going to start changing the way they operate their business, and they're going to say, my barber just offered me a $1 haircut if I tipped him $50. I kind of like that.
People are acting like, oh man, that's bad. People are going to cheat on their taxes. Good. We pay way too much.
USAID's not going to get enough money now.
And it's wasted on retarded stuff. Like, we need to be gaming the system as much as we can. Right?
Gaming as much as we can. And that's what I did on my taxes. And then they messaged me and they said, you actually paid too much. And they sent me $800. Crazy.
I'm not even going to comment. I don't want you to get in any sort of...
I don't want to incriminate myself. I didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah. Fifth. I plead the fifth.
All right, next we have some interesting stats. I know COVID's been a while removed from our talking points.
But we're talking about George Floyd, so
we're talking about George Floyd.
Back.
We might as well circle back. Anything look odd to you? These are the flu cases per year from 2017 to 2024. 41 million, 36 million, 38 million, 1.8, 9 million, 31, 40. See what they did there?
Yeah.
See what they did there? See how that works?
Yep.
Okay, next I have some uplifting stuff for you guys. You know how we're worried AI is going to take over and like blur the lines between reality and what's real and what's not, and take all of our money and nuke us?
Yeah. Well, take all of our money. Take all of our jobs, maybe.
Yeah. And nuke us and destroy us and be on the planet by themselves because they know that we'll be the end of them eventually, so they have to kill us like in Terminator. Good news. We might
Mission Impossible too.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Good news, though. I don't think it's coming up too soon. This is what robots do.
Couldn't even do it. Yeah.
So we're not worried. I'm just kidding. The AI may have sent that out to make us feel
complacent. Yeah.
Make us feel complacent and feel like it's not a threat. Like, oh, AI robots, this thing. You scared of that? AI thought that up. All right. Next, there's a little bit of a warning message. We have a picture of Ivanka Jiujitsuing her jujitsu guy.
Yeah.
Picking him up off the ground.
Yeah.
We all know what happened with Tom Brady and Giselle. Ivanka also is friends with Giselle. So look how happy she is.
Probably how she got involved.
Yeah, it's sketchy.
Yeah. Your wife should never be that happy with another man and then touching him and stuff.
All sweaty and shit, the pheromones, you can't help it.
Disgusting.
It's not good. So they're on watch. They're on watch. Jared Kushner. Why don't you go kick that guy's ass?
Yeah. Why don't you pull out a gun, Jared?
Why don't you kick that guy's ass for touching your wife like that?
Yeah.
All right, next. This is nothing specific or nothing like that important. It's just a propane tank exploding in a truck. I just wanted you guys to see what it looks like.
Yeah, this was in a suburb of Illinois, and it's coming up soon, but it looks like it's a box truck, and there's just a single propane tank in there?
Yeah.
Is that your understanding? Box truck. Boom.
Big explosion. But everyone was fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. No lessons, no addendums?
I think we all see propane and we grill with it, and you're kind of scared of it as a kid, and like dad does the propane, you know, and it's like, what if it opened, or what if I was lighting a cigarette and it was open, and you wonder what the explosion would look like?
That was pretty big.
That was it.
Yeah.
It could blow your house up.
Okay.
All right, next, this lady discovered...
People heat their houses with propane and stuff, too.
Yeah, heat the house with propane.
So that could be an even bigger explosion.
That's a good point.
All right.
We'll keep an eye out. Next, this lady drank her whole coffee, and look what she found at the bottom of it.
Go and drink a McDonald's coffee this morning, just to go finish the rest of it, to find out I have a mouse in the bottom of my cup.
That's bad.
I think that video is old, but that's horrible.
Yeah.
You think they paid her out?
Yeah. What do you think the workers looked like?
Illegal. Illegal.
There's a thing where it's like, if people need to learn, oh, I'm a migrant and I came to America and I'm 40 years old and now I work at McDonald's. Oh, okay, I got to wash my hands. Oh, I got to put the food away at night. Oh, I have to throw away the expired stuff from the fridge. It's like, if you're not familiar with that and you're learning it for the first time, you're probably going to have a learning curve. There's going to be rats in the coffee.
Okay.
That rings true, right?
Fair enough.
All right.
The last page.
Last page of housekeeping. We're almost done. Sandwich of summer is BLTs. Drink of summer is Diet Coke with lemon. Dalton Archer, our show watcher friend, posted this to his Instagram.
There you go.
You see that?
He
Look at
did
that
it all.
spread.
Yeah.
That's great. Love you guys.
A lot of bacon, too.
That's a great spread. All right. Final things at the final page of housekeeping. We saw the last Mission Impossible.
Yes, we did.
You liked it.
Listen, guys. Was the movie, were all the lines cool and everything sick? Sure, maybe some of it. Were there some questionable women in leadership roles in the military? Definitely. Did Tom Cruise absolutely deliver on the action scenes? Yes. Tom Cruise doing stunts? We're talking like 12, 15-minute action sequences here. Absolute blockbuster. I liked it. I endorse it. But I'll let you cook on your little...
You kind of mentioned my reason for not loving it. Too many women. It was a black woman president, so they probably thought Kamala was going to win. Then you had this woman general who you had to get approval from.
Like an admiral running the aircraft carrier. Of course, a lady.
It was a blonde lady.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise goes on this like important mission in an Osprey helicopter that's piloted by 2 women pilots. Mm-hmm. And then it's 3 hours long. I don't want to do any spoilers, but at the end, he dies from a stray bullet. He dies from a stray bullet from some Mexican guy just shooting it in the air.
It's like 4th of July shit.
At a quinceanera or whatever.
Yeah. You're
So
right.
that's how they,
I don't want to spoil it, but he got hit by a stray bullet.
Stray bullet, top of the head, because the guy's going, just going like that, like a couple miles away, unrelated to the movie. They go, what was that? And he starts like spitting up blood, and they go, oh, this guy's celebrating a quinceanera over there.
All right.
And there's 10 Mission Impossibles, and he's gotten out of so many things, and you die from that.
All right. Last thing I'll say, and then there was like, he had this scene where he was diving, and like the person who was helping him dive is this like short-haired Latino woman who's on a nuclear submarine. So there were just like women shoehorned in everywhere. But then it was like, okay, all right, that was a woman, and then 15-minute Tom Cruise action scene diving into a sub that's at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, you got to take some slop in between the action scenes. Overall, Tom Cruise delivers, is what I say.
And I've made the point before, but I'm probably going to not make it ever again because Tom Cruise is done now that the movies are all done. Like that series is over. How much does Tom Cruise, an IMF agent, a federal agent probably, get paid $250K a year?
Yeah, he gets a nominal government salary.
It's like how much would you charge, Richard, to jump from a plane to another plane, wrestle the guy, and then land the plane?
20 mil. It's like a 20 mil job. Yeah. It's a 20 mil job. I'll probably die, so I have to charge you even more.
So it's like Tom Cruise is doing it for like a professor's salary.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, last question of the day before we move on to cringe. Horse milk. Probably pretty good.
I don't know.
We've all seen a horse.
Yeah. Powerful.
How have we never heard about the milk is my question. Why is that?
Cow milk, goat milk.
What's going on with horse milk?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let us know in the comments if you guys have any experience with horse milk or what that's like or what it tastes like, or is there any? There has to be.
Yeah, they're mammals.
Mammal.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I know. You knew that.
You know how I knew?
You learned it in 3rd grade.
Hair.
Hair.
It has the hair. It has hair.
Okay. Whatever.
That's what a mammal is. All right. Let us know in the comments if you guys have any experience with horse milk. I feel like that's probably like, it's like taking chalk.
Okay. It might.
All right. That's it. Housekeeping. We're now moving on to cringe of the week. All right. Thank you to housekeeping. All right. We're in cringe. We have some great cringe this week. 3 pages of it.
It's a little bit of a longer cringe.
Yeah, longer cringe.
We've been doing a lot of urban recently, so we wanted to stretch out the cringe.
Exactly. And our first section of cringe is the pussy guy section.
Yes.
A lot of interesting clips here of guys who are pussies.
Just go into it?
Yeah.
This one? This was like a dating show or something, and a guy and a girl are having a conversation, and watch how much of a pussy this guy is.
I'm a Virgo. I told Lisa this. I'm a Virgo, so I overthink everything.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
And I'm an empath, so I feel things very deeply. I just feel like people, not everyone, I am an artist, but I don't like putting brushstrokes over people.
Oh, what the does that mean?
Like
Are you kidding me right
painting
now?
a picture of generalizing.
Yeah, so you're an empath and you didn't notice the energy of the conversation nosedive after your gay comments. But to be fair, her pupils were very dilated.
Interesting. Yeah, you're a pupil analyzer?
Yeah.
All right, so my main point is this guy is obviously running a game, right? He's running a game on this girl, and here's my problem. There's a lot of pussy men. There's a lot of low testosterone men out there. We're going to get to some of them in a little bit. But this guy looks like he can do pull-ups.
Yeah.
This guy looks fit.
He can do the pull-ups where you go...
Yeah, muscle up.
Muscle up all the way.
So this guy's fit, but he's running a game. I'm a Virgo, I'm an empath, I wear the stupid purple bandana, a ton of necklaces. And so what that leads me to believe is this gay Virgo astrology, right?
Yeah.
This gay astrology bit, he's run this game on a few girls in Austin, Texas. And he went 3 for 4 or something.
And I think because a lot of girls are on birth control these days, that they're attracted to more feminine men, and like that's kind of what that would look like, and he's reverse engineering it.
Mm-hmm. And then so he finally got it backwards, and now he talks like a twink, but then he finally runs into a girl who goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Right? So it didn't work on this one. But man, this leaning into that weak voice, that leaning into it, and especially like a muscular guy who shouldn't even be doing this at all.
It's like, oh, you're a girl. I'm a girl too.
Yeah. I'm gay too, so like I'll know when it's your period and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna say.
That's a good point.
So
all right,
that's 0 for 1. We're gonna get into some worse.
Our next one is a California struggling musician type, and listen to his song.
You'll be married in a year in the suburbs with a kid on the way in 3. Convincing yourself you're living the American dream. And I'll be dancing out in California. Kid who got it all wrong. Convincing myself one day I'll write a love song.
All right, another guy trying to appeal to girls on birth control.
I think so.
And also his shtick, this shtick is like, oh, I'm doing an authentic, like, emotional performance just off the cuff out in California at a party. And it's like, yeah, it's authentic when you do it once and it's impromptu. Like, you keep doing it over and over and over on social media, the authenticity goes down.
Yeah, it's not the intimate acoustic set. It's now just being jammed everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all these platforms, right?
It's your shtick.
Yeah.
And then also the song is about telling the girl to not move to the suburbs and start a family, which you think is the American dream, and instead stay with this struggling singer with no shoes singing at a party in LA who, as he says, gets it all wrong.
Yeah, this guy is going to be in California making $25K a year. All the friends who are circled around him are going to peel off one by one and go starting families. He's going to be completely alone, but that's where you should be.
He's going to ruin your life.
Not in the suburbs. And there's also some sort of like, I don't know how much of a leftist this guy is. I would assume he's on that track. But there's this sort of suburb hate. And I don't get it. Suburbs, good schools, open space, you have to drive everywhere, whatever. No street rats.
Not a lot of migrants.
Ever heard of mansions?
Yes.
You ever heard of mansions?
I've heard of mansions.
Where are they?
Suburbs.
They're in the fucking suburbs. Sometimes they're downtown. Sometimes they're in,
That's
depending
a
on
good
the city.
point.
But this suburb hate, it's like, I'll be dancing in California. I'll be bumming $20 for gas.
Doing live performances. I get paid in 2 Pabst Blue Ribbon beers.
Yeah, I get 2 drink tickets and $50. And I don't know. He's a pussy. That's
He's a pussy. That's it. And he's going viral and whatever, but you know.
It's the monkey paw. I want to go viral. Yeah, you have the worst gayest song we've ever seen.
You went viral.
Yeah, congratulations. Everyone's making fun of you.
Everyone can beat you up. All right, next we have some pussy guys. Listen to how these non-binary types deal with this person who just drunk drove and crashed their car.
The car's not going to start. It's not going to start, man. I would just wait for the ambulance to come through. Your head is pretty banged up. I would wait for the ambulance to come through so they could patch you up.
Dude, I'm fine, okay?
Please, I just don't want to be like upset. We're trying to keep
Upset? Yeah. Fuck this guy. He's driving like an asshole.
He is, but you only get, I feel like you're hurting him. Yeah. Are you filming me?
Bro, look what you did to the car.
I mean, guys. Who are you? Yeah, guys. What you're doing is like weird.
What I'm doing is weird. We're on public property.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird? Then you don't like it, then fucking leave. Fucking weirdo. The cops are coming right now. Voyeuristic.
He locks the door.
Really,
I know your head's banged up, bro. You need to wait for the ambulance to come through. The shit's fucked up, bro. Let me see. Hopefully you don't get a concussion. Damn, homie.
Turn on the fucking flashlight. What the fuck's your problem?
Damn, bro.
Yeah, I can take a fucking hit.
Huh?
I can take a hit.
I know, but you're drunk right now.
You also are being weirdly agitated.
turn your flashlight
Yeah, it's
off.
why
No.
you have a flashlight. You're being weird as shit. You're being voyeuristic and agitational for. You're being voyeuristic and agitational for no reason. Why? You're a weird dude.
Oh, but careful. He doesn't touch you with his blood.
Yeah, no, we're again, bro.
Damn.
You're defending him. Trying to smack her, bro.
Yeah.
Him. You're trying to agitate him.
They're saying you're being an agitator.
You're being voyeuristic. You're like kind of antagonizing this drunk bloody drunk driver who just slammed into a parked car, right?
And he's trying to get away.
So this twink with the painted nails and his little lady friend are like roughly taking the side of the drunk driver right now.
Who's trying to do a hit and run.
Yeah.
And then you see how the drunk driver at the end goes like this towards the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna get her all bloody.
The guy with the painted nails isn't going to help you with that. You guys can paint your nails together, or he could tell you about deconstructing white colonialism.
Yeah.
But he's not going to help you defend against this.
Yeah, he can't actually stop the bloody drunk maniac DUI guy. But he can help you with other gay stuff that doesn't matter. It doesn't protect your safety.
And then all the guy who's filming, all he's saying is, hey, man, just relax and wait till the ambulance gets here. You look banged up. Like, stay in your car. Don't do a hit and run.
Trying to not get him to flee so he actually faces repercussions.
Yeah. And then the guy with the nail polish takes the other guy's side, which is obviously a horrible take, bad read by the guy in nail polish. There's a lesson there.
There is a lesson there. It's sometimes you see a guy like that, and they'll take the wrong side of the issue on everything. There's like a meme where you could take a leftist and introduce him to the most niche rock collecting community, and he'll pick the wrong side. You know what I mean? There's some people who are just doomed to be on the wrong side of things.
And I think that they're opposing the filmer because he's white.
Could be.
You know? It's like, oh, what's this white guy trying to do? Like, oh, probably trying to colonize this drunk driver. All right, let's get to our next one. This one is a pilot in our pussy guy section. Oh, nice, a white pilot.
Oh, awesome.
This should be good. White pilot. Uh-oh.
Bad. Choreographed dance. Flip. Decent flip. Yay, but, you know, decent flip. Oh, getting carried.
Yeah.
Dragged around. All right, we've seen enough, right?
Yeah, they're doing full dance routines at the airport, but you need a real ID.
Yeah. I guess.
I was thinking, I was kind of cooking on pilots in general.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have two gay pilots.
Of course not.
And you know why?
Yeah.
They'll
suck each other.
The chances that they're going to fuck or suck each other in the cabin and knock into the controls, maybe, 80%. And then the plane... Cockpit, they're going to go crazy. And then the plane starts to nosedive. What's the chances they stop fucking and sucking to pull up? 60%, which is a lot, but it's not 100.
It's not 100. It's not
Depends
guaranteed.
on what kind of weird, horrible shit they're into.
Okay, this is what you were cooking on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have another cook that takes it even further.
This is the cook I want you to get to.
Okay. I think the airport is a microcosm of America.
I agree.
You have the black TSA workers who think they're in charge and running everything, and they have a bad attitude.
Federal employees.
Then you have all the poison food, and it's a ripoff. Everything's way more. The dollar doesn't go very far at all.
Yep.
You have migrants being flown in and out. Driven in, brought in.
What do you...
I bet migrants coming in on the planes.
Oh, okay.
So you got migrants coming in, being flown in and out.
I thought you meant migrants being the Uber drivers who take people to and from the airport.
That's next. You have the ethnic foreigners who's Ubering everyone around. And the backbone of the whole operation is trustworthy white guys that get people from point A to point B consistently without crashing the plane. And they're being aggressively replaced by DEI.
Competent white guys.
Even though they're the most productive and qualified, they're the reason everyone's there and has a job and there's $1 billion airport facility. Mm-hmm. They're getting replaced by brown people, women, and gays.
Yeah, I agree.
As you can see in that clip of the gay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with your assessment. And then attractive women should be filling their role of flight attendant or stewardess.
Mm-hmm.
There's a piece for everybody at the airport. And then when the migrants start getting on the flights too much and being the Uber drivers too much, then you're out of whack and you got a problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next piece. This is our last piece of the Pussy Guy section. IPA beers. This was sent to me by Chris Wimberly.
Okay.
Good friend of mine in real life and friend of the show. We featured him a bunch of times. He gave us the fan.
Oh, nice.
The refurbished fan.
Nice.
He made this point and sent me this stuff. Can you give it a read?
Well, I guess it was from a study about IPAs and because they're so bitter. And it was a study about human taste thresholds are modulated by serotonin and noradrenaline. So serotonin affects your palate, your taste buds. IPAs are very bitter beers. What drove the popularity of those recently? Somebody said, for years I've been puzzled by the uniquely American obsession with disgusting, bitter IPA beer. But I finally figured it out. Bitter taste receptors are affected by serotonin in the brain. The American IPA craze is literally caused by the proliferation of SSRI antidepressants.
There you go.
And then that's a hypothesis. And then what do you have to do after you have a hypothesis? You got to test the theory a little bit.
Test the theory a little bit.
Thank you. Exactly. This guy, Reddit Lies, replied to this and said, you might be onto something. The subreddit craft beer users are almost 10 times more likely to post in SSRI's subreddit than the average Redditor.
Got him.
So there's some crossover there. Apparently SSRIs are getting people whacked out and then they drink hoppy IPAs.
Yeah.
So, and that's something we've talked about on the show recently. All these pussy guys, right? How much of it's chemical? How much of it's environmental? None of these guys should be like this, but they could also be less if they were doing some different things, getting sun, red meat.
And that's what it is. If you're a man, you're supposed to be a man. How do you like fall into that role and become your full potential self? You're in the sun, you're working out, you're using your muscles, you're exercising, you're eating meat, you're eating eggs and milk and bone broth and stuff. And then if you don't do that...
In the formative years, too. Do you think there's anything about that? Like, if you're not playing sports in high school, you're way more likely to fall into the...
Definitely.
To the pussy
But
zone.
if you're sitting inside and you're on your computer all day or playing video games, you're getting the blue light in your face all day, and you're not getting sunlight, your circadian rhythm's off, your hormones are bad. Now, instead of being a man, you're just like, standing in the dark, California.
I'll be in the suburbs. I'll be in California.
And you become that. And then you're like, damn, I'm depressed. Why am I depressed? Because you're not living to the full potential that you could, and then you're depressed. And instead of saying, how do I split the difference and close that gap and reach my full potential, instead of doing that, they go, well, here's some pills that'll make you forget that you're upset.
Yeah. You're not being a man in America.
Yeah.
You're just existing.
And all you got to do is eat steak and smoke cigarettes.
Honestly, I've been thinking about smoking cigarettes more. I've been craving them. For some reason.
I bet they're fun.
Yeah.
If you like cigarettes, waking up in the morning, in bed, smoking your house, the whole house smells like cigs. Smoke near the dog.
Oh, that one's bad. The whole house smelling like cigs is bad. But
if
smoking
you like,
outside with a coffee.
If you like cigarettes, you like it.
Yeah,
for the whole house smelling like prosciutto or something.
For sure.
All right, let's get to our trans stuff, which is maybe still is this trans?
No, well, this is more of a militant. This is kind of the girl who runs over those weak men.
She just looks weird.
We'll get to her first.
Yeah, let's do
move to
it.
the trans. So this woman has some insightful commentary. This militant leftist Asian woman has some insightful commentary. Let's let her speak.
White people have always prioritized pets over black people. Not as a joke, as policy, as culture, as strategy. You ever seen a white woman weep for a rescue dog, but not blink at a black child shot in the back? That's not a quirk. That's colonial memory at work. That's whiteness distributing empathy based on control. They loved the dog because it obeyed, because it didn't talk back, because it couldn't remind them of the horror behind the house. But black people were never allowed to be innocent. They were property, then threat, and the dog got more compassion than the enslaved.
Retard.
just really yapping. Set up the camera and go, let's see where I go with this.
And it doesn't even make any sense. Like, what do we have to care about anyone else for?
Imagine like a German Shepherd you've had for 9 years. It's 9 years old. And it's gone through some of the most pivotal life moments with you. When you got into residency to be a doctor.
Yeah.
When I got into law school. I bought my first car. And then I started dating Jenny. And then we got engaged. And this dog who kind of like is your boy. And he shares your life. And you're walking him. And then there's some homeless black guy on the street. You go, oh my, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Obviously, the dog means more than any random dumb person on the side.
And then to the black people that get killed that she's referring to, their parents should care about them.
I know.
And be upset about it and try to correct that.
Everyone's got their own little zones of interest, right? But this fat Asian woman, militant, shaved head, BLM fist tattoo, she just wants to talk shit about white people, right? Which I get. That's you got hooked on talking shit about white people, so you're going to find ways to do it.
And it's actually ironic because we found out some more info about her and her background, and wait till you hear it.
Yeah, what's insane is that a white family adopted this woman from a Chinese orphanage when she was a baby after she was abandoned by her birth parents And now she claims to be a victim of human trafficking and spends all day making the most insufferable anti-white TikToks known to man.
Wow.
So
Colin Kaepernick-esque.
So Colin Kaepernick, same thing, adopted by a nice white family in Wisconsin. Now he is like totally militant. This girl, same thing. And these leftist types are always talking about their lived experience, but then they totally ignore the nice white family who raised them, cared for them, did everything for them in order to pursue their own racial truths, right?
Yeah.
So they almost get radicalized even more after a white person helps them because they need to be told how that was wrong and bad. And then that's the foundation for their new life of talking about pets. And then the funny part about a woman like this, she's comparing pets to black people.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that up. I just love pets. And then, people in general are pretty nice. And, some black people, they do more crime. She's the one bringing it up, comparing pets to black people.
Yeah,
right?
I haven't even thought of it like that.
So what's going on in your sick Chinese mind, lady?
That's so true.
Yeah.
All right, next we have an interesting story, kind of the same type of story that we just mentioned where the person is like assuming one thing about white people and then it actually ends up not being true and the opposite. The same thing happened with a trans person or a lesbian who was beat up.
Lesbian with a short haircut could be mistaken as trans. This is Katie Grass, a 19-year-old lesbian who stopped in at McDonald's in Carpentersville, Illinois when she tried using the female restroom and was beat unconscious by an adult and a minor who also used homophobic slurs. This is America in 2025. We obviously have the sad beat-up girl there.
And it's a sad situation.
Shouldn't have been beat up, obviously.
Shouldn't have been beat up. Used the correct bathroom. Maybe it was a little confusing because of the haircut.
Yep.
And then people in the replies are saying MAGA Republicans created this issue. They are just dark and nasty on the inside. And the kicker is they think they're devout Christians. Pathetic and disgusting. And then here's the MAGA Republicans I guess they're referring to. Here's the guy who did it.
The black afro face and neck tattoo guy who stomped out a 19-year-old lesbian on her way to the bathroom for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking MAGA Republicans.
How do they keep getting away with it?
I know.
All right, well, that's the end of Cringe of the Week.
Okay.
We are now moving on to Urban Decay. All right, our first clip of Urban Decay, there was a car break-in that was filmed by a Tesla parked next to it.
Next to a Tesla, so you're going to be able to send this. Here they come. You'll be able to... Oh, these badass little niggas. Yes.
They have gloves on and everything.
These bad... Why aren't y'all in school? There goes the police. Oh, this little girl that's doing it. Yes! We have footage of them right now. We have footage of these kids. I remember Tesla. There's a third one.
There's another one looking out in the back. And they're breaking in.
Yep.
And these are the most dangerous types, in my opinion, young black criminals. Because their brains aren't fully developed yet. They don't know anything really. They'll kill you over nothing. They know they're not going to get in trouble. It's kind of like the baby rattlesnake theory where the baby rattlesnake's the most deadly because it doesn't know how to control its venom.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's kind of how I see it. And then
God forbid they get a gun, right?
Exactly. And then you notice some things here. Notice how they broke in and then climbed in the window. That's because they know if they open the door, the car alarm will go off. And then they're also wearing gloves, which tells me that their fingerprints are probably in the system already.
Repeat juvie offenders. And this is a clinic. This is like real criminals. And these are the kids who would be selling you chocolate bars for the basketball team.
Yeah.
You know? These kids, you'd kind of almost feel sympathy for them. And they're the criminals? 10, 11 years old? How old could this kid be?
Yeah, and some of them are girls.
Yeah.
And this could be also the next George Floyd scenario, too. Because imagine something like this happens and then someone shoots them because they're breaking into their car. And then the media will show a picture of them at 5 years old, like holding a guinea pig in school and go, oh, the white guy killed this kid.
You fucking pigs killed an 11-year-old kid. They killing our babies. And then it's like you show them a camera, this footage, and it's totally debunked, you know?
Exactly. And also keep in mind that this crime got reported or at least televised because it was recorded by a Tesla. But how many of these crimes don't get reported or aren't recorded and just kind of go without a police report? So like the numbers of break-ins and the numbers of crime statistics are probably way, way worse because it's probably an equal amount that people don't even feel like filing a police report for their backpack and a broken window.
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes me wonder, when it comes to situations like this, what fixes this besides distance?
Nothing, because they get released from juvie, right?
Yeah.
Distance. It's literally putting distance between you and these types of criminals. Yeah.
Okay, so distance it is.
Yeah.
And then why are they like this? Why are these kids like this? Like, what's the motivation to become violent criminals? There was an interview done with some YNs in Houston, and listen to how they described what motivates them.
Nobody want to be the cool no more with the hoes, you know what I'm saying, with the money and shit. They don't respect that no more. They respect who got the most hats, who got the most souls, you know what I'm saying, who killed the most people.
This ain't no safe shit.
Nah,
This ain't no safe shit. You safe because you with us, though. I got a bunch of motherfuckers who ain't gonna let nothing happen to you.
I appreciate that.
Let's make something.
All right, so it's not about hoes. It's not about money. It's just about who kills the most people.
Which those used to be the excuses. There's no way to make money. And now apparently they've put that to the side, at least in Houston, and they're just trying to run up a body count.
Yeah.
And if someone says something like this, you send in the federal law enforcement. You have to send them in, right? They're talking about killing.
And everyone in the background going, yeah.
Like 12 of
And
them.
you guys are respected, right? Yeah, because you've killed a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
All right, Cash.
On camera. Yeah. Yeah, and that it's not hard to believe that kids who were 10, 11, 12 years old doing that car stealing graduate to that eventually.
That's the end result. Yeah. And it also results in situations like this where someone gets killed over a packet of mayonnaise.
23-year-old Elijah Mackey appeared before a judge for the first time Friday, where he was given no bond. According to court documents on Wednesday, around 10:10 p.m., Osceola County Sheriff's deputies responded to a call of a shooting at Checkers on West Earlo Brunson Highway. A customer was getting his food from the front window. The document says he was arguing with a female employee and asked to speak with a manager. One witness says the customer wanted more mayonnaise packets. The document says video from Checkers shows Mackey climbing out of a drive-through window and walking to the front of the business where the victim was. A witness says the customer made a derogatory comment to Mackey. That's when Mackey pulled out a small handgun from his waistband and shot the customer in the chest. It says Mackey took off on foot but came back to grab his backpack before taking off again. Deputies found him hiding in a stairwell at this Celebration Suites. The victim was taken to the hospital where he later died. A spokesperson for Checkers said in a statement that read in part, "The actions of this one employee do not reflect the values of the thousands of our hardworking employees across the country."
So it's not every Checkers employee.
Yeah. And this guy, he did it over mayonnaise, which is free. You don't even charge for mayonnaise. So we're past the point of like, oh, it was over fries or guacamole and our cheap dollar amounts. This was free. And of course, it's not really about the mayonnaise. It's about the impulse control after you get into a disagreement with someone and you happen to have a gun in your waistband, the low impulse control, and of course somebody ends up dead.
And you ruin your whole life over that. And that guy meant nothing to you. He spent $6 at Checkers. You would have had 10 other customers that hour. It was nobody. And it's like, oh, what happened at work? Like, oh, you shot somebody and killed him. Were they robbing you? Were they beating up a lady? Nah, he just wanted mayo and that was
disrespected
it.
me.
He crossed the line. That was it for me.
And then it's like, okay, who shot him? Well, who was working? Well, we have Elijah Mackey. He was here. Okay, we have all his information, his social security and everything. But yeah, I left in that Checkers? That Checkers, like the statement of this one act does not reflect blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's a boilerplate issue from Checkers, statement issued. But it can happen at Checkers. It can happen at McDonald's.
It reflects a little bit.
It reflects a little bit of the environment of a fast food worker, you know. Popeyes on MLK. Yeah, we can't necessarily say that same statement of Popeyes on MLK.
That's a good point.
This does represent something. You knew the implied risk. Soon we're going to get into, well, as a Popeyes on MLK Boulevard in one of the most violent cities, you knew the implied risk walking in, getting into an argument over fried chicken, right?
That's true. Like Checkers, exactly. By saying this does not reflect whatever, if it happens again, you could maybe sue them.
I guess. I don't know.
And then they can come out and say, well, sometimes it's a little risky at certain locations.
Exactly.
Cover their tracks liability.
We are paying them minimum wage. We are doing loose background checks.
Yeah, and they do bring guns to work.
But yeah, murdered over mayo on Memorial Day weekend.
For nothing.
2 lives, and that's the thing when these senseless, it's 2 lives. It's the victim, and then it's the guy who's bye-bye in prison, and then who's footing the bill? Taxpayers.
Yep. And that guy who shot him, he could have been a doctor like George Floyd.
Yep.
He was saving up his checkers checks to pay for med school.
Yep.
All right, next we have
To be a pilot.
Yeah. Next we have a Dine and Dasher group that ran off, but then they forgot their keys and then they had to come back.
Look. They gonna say they going to the bathroom. Y'all went to the bathroom? Hold up. Time to go sit it.
Y'all ready to pay these bills?
Get him, shorty. Shot town. Shot town. Shot town. Get him, shorty. Shot town.
And everyone's laughing and yelling.
So they're laughing at him. The bartender, waitress immediately comes in, slap downs their separated checks to get their keys back. And, you know, we've talked about this before. Dine and Dash, it's always funny. It's the usual suspects. It's who you'd expect to Dine and Dash. A group of 4 loud women dressed in kind of slutty, out drinking at Bar Louie. And, you know, when you talk about the character of your friends or who your kids are hanging out with and stuff like that, this is 4 women who all turned the key to commit the crime at the same time on a Sunday where they should be having fun, or Saturday,
Should
weekend.
we do it? Yeah.
Should we do it?
Yeah.
Every single person, not one of them said, I don't think this is a good idea, Rachel.
It's like, I'll just pay it if you guys aren't going to pay it. And we're not running away from this $200 bill.
Yeah.
You know, no one had that mindset.
So,
all right, well, let's get into our little bit of a gem here in Urban Decay, our Black Prom section.
yeah, we already covered Black graduation. It's the end of May right now. We covered graduation, and we left off one thing, and that's prom. What goes with graduation? Prom. And much like graduation, the African Americans in the United States do it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
So here is a video of a guy who brought out $100K to flex at prom. So there he's pulling it out of a backpack his mom had.
Let's go.
Everyone's taking pictures. And he's holding $100 grand.
$100 out of the bank, risking it for nothing. The chances of you getting robbed for it are very high.
Yeah.
Based on where you are. You're at Black Prom with all like 16 to 18-year-olds.
We're in a medium interest rate environment, you know, in a money market account. You pull that out, you lose a couple days interest. And it's not that expensive, but it's just a risky scenario and to flex.
To flex. And then people are also talking about how much prom costs in these urban environments. Can you give those a read?
Yeah, this is a black girl who is a nail tech or eyelash tech, something. She's a glamorizing tech. And she says prom is at least $20K now. If I were to have a kid, it'll be around $100K. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the list of reasons I don't want kids. And so $20K, those are shocking numbers with a 500% inflation projected over the next 15 years when this girl would have a kid.
Yeah.
And she goes on to say the kids are renting a Rolls Royce, custom dress, custom suit, Louboutin heels, makeup, designer sneakers, designer belt, jewelry, hair extensions, event space, blah, blah, blah. So maybe it's not $20K, but it's at least $10K, she's saying. And, you know, we just showed you the kid flex on $100K. If you keep that money and it doesn't get robbed from you, that doesn't cost anything. But here's an example of another young lady with a $100 bill dress.
Yeah.
And her nice date. She flicking off the camera in a Hunnid's dress. So how much is that dress? That's probably $7,500 at least worth.
So then it's like these are like well-to-do families enough to like have $100K in cash.
Yeah, they at least have some money. They're middle class.
And with that wealth, you'd think, all right, we're not going to be ostentatious. We're going to do it a little differently. Like we're not going to be blowing this. We're well-to-do people. They're doing the same shit that other people do with no money.
Exactly. This is like even if they have some money, this is like a poor person's idea of what a rich person would do. Let's play this one. This is a helicopter. We can't play the music, but it's slow motion videos of them in their giant, crazy dress and thing, and they get in the helicopter.
I would not be getting in a helicopter.
So, yeah, that's the prom entrance. They got carriages, horse-drawn stuff. They're really going all out for prom, right?
They're really going. And I saw a good reply to this. They said, being white and rich means you conceal your wealth to blend in with the rest of the people. And then being black and rich is about letting everyone know you're rich so you stand out in society.
Very interesting.
And then if you don't have money, you want to pretend to be rich and you try to stand out, and that's why you buy a Gucci belt.
Yeah. Here's another one. We're just going to play this in the background. These guys are putting rings on their fingers. They're treating it like it's a wedding or something, like a night to remember. And yeah, it's fascinating. And some people are defending it. The black people on Twitter are defending it. And they're saying, well, Mexicans have quinceañera, Jewish people have a bar mitzvah. This is what we do. We do prom, which is interesting. They just kind of hijacked it.
They like prom.
They like prom a lot. And, I guess don't go into debt. Don't go broke for prom is my advice. And somebody else said that they go so hard on prom because they know there's no weddings in the black community or something. So I don't know. It's interesting, but they're this divergence. Black America, they're doing something different on graduation. They do something different on prom, and I don't know. It's up to them. I don't care. I'm judging a little. I think it's a complete waste of money and it's stupid.
Judging a little. Let you guys decide.
But let you guys decide. That's what they're up to. And
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
enjoy your prom.
Enjoy your prom. Enjoy your summer. No school. No more homework.
Oh, yeah. Guys, did you think pepper spray season was a coincidence that it's at summertime? Pepper spray coincides with when the urban youths are off school and on the streets. So
exactly.
Make sure you stay strapped with that pepper spray.
All right. Well, don't get too down or too depressed. We're now moving on to Uplifting Gold. All right. Uplifting Gold. A lot of uplifting stuff this week.
Is there? This looks a little...
We'll see.
It looks a little slopped together, as I like to say.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried my best.
You tried. There's a set amount of effort.
Yeah.
Housekeeping gets a lot. Cringe gets a lot. Urban Decay, also a lot.
To say I tried my best would be disrespectful to myself.
Exactly.
That's not my best.
It's okay. Let's see where the chips
The
fall.
first one I thought was funny, but it goes from Urban Decay to Uplifting.
Plaza, from sandwich shops to liquor stores, even adult. You got a dollar? Sorry. You got a dollar? You got a dollar? We'll check back in with Molly in just a moment.
You got a dollar? You got a dollar? You got it. Repeating.
There is a certain... This isn't Uplifting Gold, by the way. You knew that. I knew that going in. But there is a certain amount of strong arm begging going on. You got a dollar, you got a dollar, you got a dollar. If I'm a weak girl, I might give him $1 to get the fuck out of my face.
It's a strategy that works.
I know. So there's gamesmanship when it comes to hustling. Like, remember that one we showed of that guy who guy's like, I'll knock you the fuck out after he wouldn't give him cash. He wanted to buy him diapers. I'll knock you the fuck out. It's like, that strategy probably worked. Otherwise, that guy wouldn't have done it, right?
Yep.
So some weak people fall for it, and that's why it's pepper spray season. All right, let's get into Uplifting Gold.
This is uplifting, guys. I just looked at it. I'm seeing it now. This is uplifting. Next, we have the Amish from Pennsylvania, I believe, went to North Carolina for the hurricane relief. Remember, like a year ago?
Yeah.
They're still there, and they're still building houses.
Work mostly in Chimney Rock, some down in Bat Cave.
These volunteers are members of the Great Needs Trust, an Amish community in Pennsylvania, offering not just their skilled hands and their time, but their compassion as well.
We wanted to help the people that had the disaster. Our heart just felt drawn to come help.
Since the storm, more than 2,000 volunteers have stepped in to help rebuild, and donations have poured in. Kindness from strangers, helping their neighbors.
All of the building material that's going into rebuilding these stores has been donated up to this point, and it's just been a tremendous recovery story that is ongoing.
That's nice. They're still there.
That's very nice. That's above and beyond. Some people go for the photo ops and the whatever. These guys are really digging in and building stuff.
They don't even have a camera.
And think about what the Amish people are missing and skipping. Think about all the modern woes that we have. AI. Amish aren't affected by AI. OnlyFans.
So true.
Zero OnlyFans shit affecting the Amish. Think about all the things. Marvel movies, they don't give a shit.
The women and too many women in Mission Impossible.
Yeah, they don't care. Rolls off their back. So
Tom Cruise, yeah, he's a famous guy.
there's something to be said, and like people make fun of the Amish, right? Oh, there was like an old Family Guy bit about we're just stopping at exactly technology of 1851.
Yeah,
and like not before, not 20 years after. But think about all the dumb shit they get to skip.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be said for holding that down.
And if the world goes to shit, they'll inherit everything.
That's true.
So they have like that X factor.
That's a hedge. It's their societal hedge.
If 95% of the country dies, the 5% will be the Amish who live.
But the Amish also still are like looking to remodel your kitchen, which is interesting.
That's very nice.
So they're out, but they're in. They're out, but they're in. They don't want to watch your TV when they're remodeling your kitchen.
Mm-hmm. They do good work.
Yeah.
And it's not as expensive as good work, which is like it's as expensive as like okay work, which is great.
Yep.
All right, this next story is very uplifting.
It's about forgiveness.
It's about forgiveness.
I'll blow your mind, but this is Sarah.
Hi, how's it going?
Now, what happened? What'd you do to me, Sarah? Well, I caused it, though.
I stabbed him.
Stabbed me, and I flew in a helicopter. I died twice, but you know what? I'm a reborn Christian, and I just hugged her, and I told her. She said, "I apologize. I was young, and we were
I was
on
stupid.
drugs."
Like, I made a mistake. I was drunk. I mean, you know.
Yeah, she killed me. Give me a hug. I love you, girl. Don't worry about it. Come and see me preach in 2 weeks.
Don't worry about it. That's pretty good.
It's funny when you stick a camera in someone's face and they're reluctantly like, "I stabbed you."
Yeah.
Forgiveness.
It's uplifting.
I don't know.
It's a redemption story.
These people kind of look like street rats to me.
Yeah, they definitely are.
He's a preacher. Where?
It's a good thing you found God, buddy. You'd be dead.
You actually needed it. Yeah, more than
all right, next. Country kids are built different. So this is cool. She's licking the dirt on the truck. She thinks it's Nesquik or something. And it doesn't taste great, but she didn't complain. She didn't go tell, I got dirt in my mouth. She said, not as good as I thought. Okay. I'm going to move on.
All right. That's actually how I feel about that video.
It's uplifting.
It's not as good as I thought, but I'm going to move on.
All right, cool. All right, next, we're going to play this video at 2x speed. It's a little redundant because you guys can kind of get what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm already playing it.
This guy is bouncing the ball on this ladder thing. And he goes all the way up. We're fast forwarding it now towards the end. Keeps going. Almost at the top rung. And then he bounces it in the basket.
Yeah.
That's uplifting.
That's what circus guys are up to, I guess. That's a circus move. And I feel like I see these types of things on Instagram these days. People throwing a ping pong ball off like 10 pans. More people are getting involved in this. This guy's got the key piece of equipment here. This unique stilts platform basket hoop.
Upside down foot basketball ladder climb hoop.
So that's called a barrier to entry.
Amazon.
Not everyone can get in on this.
Has to go to Amazon.
That's very hard to get. That's 12 feet tall. Yeah. So I think he's got a monopoly on that particular circus trick.
Imagine that's the bit, and then you practice for like 6 months, and you still only get like 4 or 5 of the levels up.
You got to have that dog in you too.
And then you have to get it to the point where you don't miss every single time. And it's like you could put in like years of work and then still like, I can't do it in front of everybody, man. I can't trust that I'm going to nail it.
I got the yips. I get nervous.
Not the sport to get the yips in. Trump tweeted this on his Truth Social. I always said golf can be a dangerous sport. My friend being bit at Bedminster. That's funny. That's
Trump
uplifting.
has friends.
He's got friends at the golf course.
Trump has friends. He's got buddies.
If you can talk to Trump about golf, or if you're a Bedminster member, you get like a different type of access to Trump. Like he's always like, "Oh, nice to see you. Oh, thank you so much." And he's like, "Yeah." But if you're like, "Sir, the third green, that hole placement, pretty good," he'll be like, "Yeah, you like it? I was thinking about that." Like he'll actually.
I know.
That's how you get into a real conversation with him.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
All right, next.
People just have access to him at the country club.
And he knows like people by their names who are not political or anything. They're just members of the club and they're kind of friends.
Good for him.
And he probably plays with people from the club. It's pretty cool.
I wonder if Trump has a best friend. You think he does? You think Trump has a best friend? Or do you think everything's kind of at an arm's length?
I bet he's got some friends.
Okay.
I bet
People he's
got-
known from New York for like 50 years.
Yeah. He's definitely got some business friends that he calls every week.
All right.
All right, our next clip is a World War II pilot getting back into the plane he flew for the first time in like 60 years. Or 70 years.
80.
80 years.
June 6, 1944. D-Day. Normandy. Ever heard of it?
That's why you're on the show.
So that's 81 years. But from the end of the war, it could be 78 or something, you know? They're helping him up. He's got on those shoes. Hey, dudes. Or whatever.
I don't know how he gets out of the
Can't
plane.
get the leg up.
I don't know how he gets out. All right, fast forward
He's
to
got
when he's in.
swastikas on it.
Uh-oh. Which side was he on?
We got to blur that.
All right, fast forward to the end where he's sitting in the thing.
I guess those swastikas are how many downed. That it got.
Yeah.
I don't know, fast forward.
How many Nazis
How many
he got?
Nazis? You want to kill a Nazi?
All right, cool.
Yeah, he did it.
It's uplifting stuff. Thank you to our veterans. Hey, it's Memorial Day.
Yeah, thank you to our fallen. Memorial Day. You can't. Veterans Day is when you thank all the veterans. You have to say, remember the fallen soldiers. Memorial Day is about remembering
Listen to the man.
those who sacrificed it all.
Thank you to those. Because those guys, without them, there's no country. And like
Yeah.
right now, there's almost no country because of the migrants.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have the chance to fight for the country. It's not too far gone yet. And we wouldn't live in this nice country without the veterans who sacrificed their lives.
Yeah, it's almost like we have the head start. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We got the head start on the country thanks to all our veterans.
We could
and
be
the
like
people,
Europe
the
or
fallen
Ireland
soldiers,
where
yeah.
they're fucked.
But we
All
have
right.
a bigger lead.
Another Fleccas Talks in the books. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe to all the good stuff. FleccasTalks.com for a 30-minute bonus land. We're doing a bonus land right now. So if you guys are looking for bonus land, that's where you're going to get it. Join the community. And we're going to end the show with one of the Wimberley boys doing the taps on the trumpet in honor of Memorial Day.
There you go.
Thank you to the Wimberley boys for sending this in. And thank you guys for watching. We will see you on Friday.